Hey everyone, it's me, Chris from Body Nova Fitness Coaching, and I wanted to talk to you today about good things that are found in foods that are bad foods. Now, the way I look at it is there's not too many natural, unprocessed foods that are 100% bad or 100% good. Provided we're not talking about somebody with an allergy or something like that. So I wanted to get in some of the foods that are demonized or that remain demonized because again people are kind of looking at the world through a straw. So for example, certain foods will get grouped in with all other foods that are like that for simplicity because sometimes we tend to use expertise or fake the expertise by oversimplifying things instead of just going straight for the unadulterated truth there. So with that being said, one of those that you look at, for example, bread. You know, the low carb dieting has become popular. So bread and any and all breads are bad. And there's certain types, like for example, sourdough bread. And sourdough bread is made different than some of the other breads because it has the way that it's made. There's a lactic acid that's created, and it prevents your blood sugar from spiking or rising as much as it does with normal wheat or white bread. But because it's just bread, people don't differentiate that between that and the other breads. Ezekiel bread is another one because that's not made from flour. That's actually made from sprouts. You know, so that's another one, but that one's not so much demonized. It's just people just don't mess with it like they do the other breads. Okay, another one of those foods that are commonly demonized is egg yolks. Now, one of the things people don't understand with egg yolks is it is high. They are high in fat. You know that or makes the egg high in fat, so they'll scoop out the egg yolk and just eat the egg white. Well, there are a lot of things that are good for your health. You know, certain vitamins and things like that, like or mineral. I mean, vitamins, minerals. Lutein is one. There are things in there that help allow you to be better at managing your blood sugar. But with that being said, because eggs have saturated fat, and the truth of it is most of the fat in the egg is not saturated. So there's not so much of a problem with the cholesterol levels, and with some people in their cholesterol levels, it's more of what they make themselves, their bodies create through poor management of their blood sugars. You know, either they're eating too many high glycemic index foods, and then the excess insulin that's used to try to remove the sugar from the bloodstream gets turned into triglycerides, and there's sort of your cholesterol there. So that's another thing to think about there when you're looking at some of the foods there. And eggs, the whole egg can be good for you. You know, it's not necessarily always an egg white thing. A lot of people, they don't like potatoes, or they don't like potatoes. Don't think potatoes are healthy because potatoes have carbs in them. But the carbs in potatoes, they have a fiber resistant starch. So a lot of times, if you boil the potatoes, that starch makes it so you don't. It's kind of like fiber where you don't absorb it. But when you start looking at some of the healthiest foods for you, one of the things that they all have in common is they tend to have a lot of potassium. So potatoes are high in potassium. You know, because potassium helps with muscle contraction, helps you regulate your water balance. Like basically, if you're retaining water, usually high sodium, low potassium, you bring that potassium up, and you'll balance it. You'll be better at balancing it out. You know, so and there's a lot of also good vitamins, minerals in there. Yeah, the potatoes are also rich in B vitamins, calcium, iron. a lot of women they're deficient in iron and things like that, and and that goes partially for another demonized food, which is red meats. A lot of the times when they look at red meats, they fail to differentiate between natural unprocessed red meats, you know, beef, bison. I guess they're counting pork as a red meat, versus something that's processed. And some of those studies, I remember I looked at some of those studies from What the Health, and they should really be ashamed of themselves. They're trying to say that their lifestyle is the healthiest, but in doing so, they compare their lifestyle to people who eat pastrami, and bacon and things like that. And to me, that's like trying to be a grown man, but being a grown man, being the best at whatever you do when you're competing against 6 year olds. You already know you're better than a 6 year old. We already know that processed meats, is not the healthy way to go about it if you're doing the best for your health. Why not take your lifestyle and your diet and compare it to an organic diet, organic foods that are unprocessed? Why not compare it against paleo foods, meats and things like that that are of the same caliber? If you're going unprocessed, if you're going unprocessed and you're going organic, then you should compare it against organic foods. Okay. With that being said, red meat also gets demonized, but red meat is mostly because of the fats. And again, a lot of times with cholesterol, it's more about what you make your body create through poor blood sugar, and not so much of the cholesterol that you eat. Okay. But with that being said, you can always go for leaner cuts of red meat and things like that. And again, B12, very high in red meat, highly bioavailable, which means your body can use it, very easily. And that goes the same for iron. The iron in red meat is highly bioavailable. So those are reasons, to include it. You don't want to try to eat red meat all day, every day, of course. Everything in moderation. That's pretty much how it goes for all foods. If you eat too much healthy food, it's gonna come get you. So it doesn't. All right, another one, dark chocolate. All right, with dark chocolate, people, like I said, they can't separate chocolate, versus the dark chocolate, and so all of it is just lumped together, and all of it is bad all the time. If you get legitimate dark chocolate, and this is another case of when people who sell foods and things like that, they want to increase their bottom line. So now you can buy, for example, you can buy Twix in dark chocolate. All right, you can buy anything in dark chocolate, and the thing is, you have to pass a certain standard to get the benefits. Okay, so if you buy dark chocolate and you're trying to get the benefits of lowering cholesterol, blood pressure, higher magnesium, which is common deficiency for most people, things like that. It's measured, like if you get the real good stuff, they'll say this much cacao, which is CACAO. All right, so you want it to be at least 60% or have at least 60% of cacao. All right, and that's where you get the good stuff. That's the stuff with all the health benefits. Anything below that is just pretty much a regular candy bar. Okay, so that's another food that gets demonized, or people try to trick you into buying lower quality stuff but charging you a premium price for low quality. So you don't want that. But dark chocolate, definitely on the list. I definitely wouldn't try to eat a bar every day. Maybe worst case scenario, maybe a quarter of a bar. Maybe get some good peanut butter, which peanut butter is also on this list. And, you know, healthier foods. Hey, there's a study out there that they took overweight people with there's a study out there where they took overweight people and they gave them dark chocolate, okay? And what they found is the people who consumed the dark chocolate had better blood vessel health and better circulation over those that consumed a placebo. So it's not that it's all bad. It's just that you got to avoid the stuff with less than optimal cacao levels because you'll have higher antioxidants and there'll be less room to throw excess sugar in there. Peanut butter. Peanut butter is something that should be on this list. Because peanut butter, people worry about peanut butter because it's high in fat. Actually, probably because it tastes good and they can eat the whole jar. But outside of those that can exercise a little bit of restraint and not eat the whole jar, people worry about peanut butter because it's high in fat. But when you look at the fats in the natural, I mean real natural peanut butter, not a peanut butter where they're adding oils or adding sugar to it or things like that. They're high in mono and polyunsaturated fats. So if you're worried about your cholesterol levels, poly and monounsaturated fats actually help you lower your cholesterol by, you know, taking care of the LDLs in your diet. I mean, taking care of the LDL. So for that, it's really good. It does have fiber. It will help curb your appetite, when consumed with a meal. So peanut butter tends to be demonized, but there's also good things to that. So that's another one that you want to think about.